I just in honoring Pastor Bill for just the opportunity to be on the stage, you created this place for us to create our best friends and meet all our wives and have a bunch of kids. And so I just hopefully you have the gratitude that is deserved for this house, because it really is special. And man, there's churches all around the world, but man, it's our church. And I think that's just a cool thought. And we get to do amazing things at our church. And there's a pride and an excitement that comes with that. So, Pastor Bill, thank you for the opportunity and for building a great church. And, and all our friends watching online and all that stuff. But man, it's cool. And I just honored friendships. And that guy that Sean was describing is a real person. And I don't know, hopefully he has applied all of his skills for good now, because we did actually put a 25-foot What Would Jesus Do bracelet on the praying hands. I think it was like my third day at ORU. It was awesome. And whole plan, we pulled the ladder. It was great. And he probably works for NASA or he's in jail, but that guy had a great plan. We were up and down 25 foot in 3 minutes flat, duct tape on our, it was awesome. So good times. My wife, Molly, is here. Just want to honor my wife, and she's great. We got a puppy this weekend. We have 4 kids. They're all little, and Molly's like, they need a dog, And so we had some talks. I don't know how you guys do your marriage, but we talked about it. And I just said, what I don't want is for you to be frustrated with me when I'm like in a out of town, in another country or something like that, and looking at the kids and looking at the puppy and being frustrated with me. And she just said, I'll already be frustrated with you. I might as well have a puppy to cuddle. That's how that went. So because of that, so if she's like posting and she's cuddling a puppy, you know what it is. She's mad, but awesome. And I do know, anybody have kids that start at school this week? Pretty big week. Not a lot of claps because they're all at home getting kids ready. This is the homeschool group right here. It's fine. It's great. They've been in school all summer. No big deal. So, well, we've been trying to get our guys dialed in, and we have what we like to call as a distraction player is our 2-year-old Landry. She'll be 3 this week, because every night she stays awake, and she shares a room with one of our daughters, Cooper, who can sleep through anything. But most nights we'll go in about 11, and Landry is awake with the lights on in Cooper's bed singing to Cooper. And it's really sweet, except like a month ago, it's like midnight. I just opened the door, and Landry is not wearing anything except Cooper's soccer socks, and she's reading the Bible. And she just had the little, not like a picture Bible, like the little white one, the New Testament, right, the little one. And I said, Landy, what are you doing? She goes, reading the Bible? What are you doing? And I was like, oh, my gosh, okay. So hopefully it's a good week and kind of a good start to the week, and just such a fun time of year, man. The church is going to grow and swell because it's back to school, and that's what we get to do. We're going to help a lot of people. So I'm going to talk to you just a little bit tonight. We've been in a little bit of on Wednesday nights, a freedom series, and I really do think it's cool what Pastor Bill has allowed to happen this summer, and just hearing from people that have been developed and grown up in this church. And I think Dubber did a great job a couple weeks ago. Brooklyn knocked it out of the park last week and all that. So I just kind of want to stay in that vein and try to meet some of those expectations, because it's been really good. But I just had a thought that when I was thinking about the idea of freedom, I just thought of 2 words. That's kind of where I want to go tonight. It'll be simple. But I think to really be free, some of my thought would be, we've got to walk in confidence, and we have to be stewards. And if we can be confident, and if we can steward what God's given us, I really believe we can walk as Christians in freedom, the freedom that God designed us to walk in. And so, quick definition of confidence, two thoughts here is, it's the state of feeling certain about the truth of something. I can be confident if I can feel certain about the truth of something. Another one says it's a feeling of assurance arising from one's appreciation of one's own abilities or qualities. So confidence is a game changer. Confident people are who we naturally see. It's like, that guy's confident. He seems to know where he's going. That woman's, man, she knows the path that she's on. I could follow somebody like that. Those are confident people. And confidence gets you places. I don't know if you've Ever heard of Schaefer's? He made a career out of getting backstage just by walking confidently past the security guards, acting like he knows them, and, yes, sir, good to see you, and he just walk backstage at a concert. We've gotten on many a sidelines, just kind of no sideline pass. Hey, supposed to be here, Bob, good to see you, man, and just cruise on by the security guard. Confidence gets you places. But it's interesting if you think about what makes that, what kind of creates confidence, because when there is a lack of confidence, I genuinely believe it's because there's insecurities in play. And insecurities are inhibitors. Man, if we're going to be inhibited, if we're going to be held back in our lives, a lot of times I believe it's because insecurities are evident and active and have not been properly addressed. And I think about it too, I don't know if it's almost like an insecurity sometimes it just gets on you. And it's like this net that keeps getting tighter as you try to cover them up or not actually deal with them. They just get you. I was at the gas station with Blakely one time, and I'm nothing crazy. I was just putting gas in my truck, and she starts yelling in the back seat. She's like 2 years old or 10. I don't know. It's all the same. But she's in the back, and she's like, Dad, I'm trapped. I'm like, bud, we're getting gas. Like, it's not complicated. I know you want some cookies or a donut from Quick Trip, but I'm trapped. And I opened the door, and she's wrapped herself in the seatbelt multiple times. And every time she would move, it would get tighter. And I was like, this is actually impossible. There's no way this is actually, you're really being strangled by the seatbelt right now. And she's like giggling and then can't breathe. And I'm like, oh my gosh, so it's a seatbelt. And so I'm like, okay, and I try to hit the deal and it won't. And and every time she moves and every time I pull it, it gets tighter and tighter. And she literally is going, I can't breathe. And starts like holding her breath like she's underwater, just like. So I don't know what else to do, so I get a knife out of the front of my truck and I cut the seatbelt. Save my daughter's life. And to this day, just because I'm mad about it, we have not replaced the seatbelt. So if you ride in the truck, there's only 2 seatbelts in the back. But it was because she was getting like tripped. But I think that's a little bit of a picture of sometimes insecurities get on us. And it's like this suffocation because we're trying to act like they're not there and everybody else can see them. And it's affecting how we interact. It's affecting how we engage with people. And so I think that the trick is we've got to identify and attack them. If we're going to be confident, and if confidence leads to freedom, we've got to identify and attack the insecurities in our life. And I think what's interesting is the question would be why in a church like this where the word is preached and preached effectively, why would insecurities be in us? I know we have them, but it's kind of why. And I think it's interesting. I think if there's an insecurity in place, it's because we believed a lie more than we have embraced the truth. So we have maybe heard what the word said, but we believed a lie more than we embrace actually what God says about us or what his word gives us. And so I just want to do something as we're just kind of getting going here. I just thought of a few things that I've heard that I'm aware of, maybe even thought. And I want to kind of show you something that could be an insecurity and how we attack or how we address that. You might think this or you might have experienced this, but man, my family's been poor for generations, so that's what I'll be. So then any situation you get in where money is involved, you're thinking through the lens of how you were raised or you heard your parents say, I can't afford that. You might currently be saying that to your kids. That's probably an insecurity manifesting in that situation. And so what we do is we say, okay, well, that's not accurate. That is a lie. So what I'm going to do is attack it with the word. I'm going to replace it with the truth to create the confidence. 2 Corinthians 9:8, Schaefer went here. I like this translation in the Passion. It says, God is more than ready to overwhelm you with every form of grace so that you'll have more than enough of everything. Every moment and in every way, he will make you overflow with abundance in every good thing you do. So the lie is, man, this is how I was raised. This is how it's always going to be. And then the truth is what it says in 2 Corinthians. And what's cool is the word everything there in the Greek, it actually means independently wealthy and lacking nothing. Man, we can get on board with that. We can live a great life like that. Man, so that old mindset's got to go. That creates a new confidence. Man, I'm not smart enough. There's some promotion opportunity. I don't know if I'm smart enough to get that promotion. What are you talking? You have the mind of Christ. That's what we get to live. That's a life we get to operate in. Man, I'll tell you, I don't like the way I look. We deal with this. There's natural comparison. I wish I had her hair and her eyes, and I wish I was as tall as she. So we're looking at, but then look at this. You might have to say amen after this verse. Psalm 139. It says, you formed my innermost being, shaping my delicate inside and my intricate outside, and you wove them all together in my mother's womb. So you're exactly how you're supposed to be. The Bible says you're a masterpiece. And you get a little bit of confidence when you start thinking about yourself as a perfectly created masterpiece by the Creator. I can get on board with that. I can overcome some insecurity if that's the truth that I'm recognizing. I think this is interesting, the thought, man, things are going well, but I'm concerned I'm going to mess them up. I've thought that. Man, things are going good right now. And we got these kids, man, I don't want to get a puppy and mess it up, but we did, so you're thinking about things that in your life, it's like, man, I don't want to get the promotion and then not be able to live up to it. I don't want to be found out a fraud because I've said I'm good at something, but maybe I'm not as good as they thought that I should be. Man, Proverbs 69, it says a man plans his path or plans his step in his mind. And in the Amplified, it actually says, and then God establishes those steps. Man, we're making plans. And God's given us a brilliant mind to make those plans with, and then He's going to come in and actually establish the steps we're going to take. You're not going to mess it up. Man, we're in this house. You've got your personal relationship with God. You know who God is. Trusting Him every single step of the way. You're not going to mess it up. You look how you're supposed to look. Man, there's so many things that the devil could try to put on us or surface as an insecurity. And I'm just telling you, if we're going to walk in freedom, we've got to be people that are confident, and confidence is always going to come from the Word. So if there's an area that you've identified, maybe you're sitting here tonight, my hope would be you thought of something. And what you're going to do is you're going to look at it, man, Google a little scripture on it. Dive into Bible Gateway. Ask a friend. Find somebody. Get a verse that you can stand on. That's the truth. That disqualifies the lie. That's how we live. I came across this verse. I want to say Molly would think she pointed it out, but I feel like I came across this verse, Psalm 112. It's in the New Living Translation. And I'm just going to read it to you kind of as we're talking about this. We're going to dive in a bunch of stuff, but I just want you to hear this verse tonight and let it kind of be this banner of confidence. It says, praise the Lord. How joyful are those who fear the Lord and delight in obeying His commands. Their children will be successful everywhere. An entire generation of godly people will be blessed. They themselves will be wealthy, and their good deeds will last forever. Light shines in the darkness for the godly. They are generous, compassionate, and righteous. Good comes to those who lend money generously and conduct their business fairly. Such people will not be overcome by evil. Those who are righteous will be long remembered. They do not fear bad news. They confidently trust the Lord to care for them. They're confident and fearless and can face their foes triumphantly. They share freely and give generously to those in need. Their good deeds will be remembered forever. They'll have influence and honor. The wicked will see this and be infuriated. They will grind their teeth in anger. That's just like a throw-in. Like, they're going to be so mad, they're going to grind their teeth in anger. They'll slink away, their hopes thwarted. That's us. We get to live this amazing life, and the people that try to oppose us and our God, that ending part of grinding teeth and slithering away, that's what happens to them. Man, I'm just telling you, the idea of He that's in us is greater than he that's in the world. That's reality. That's the life we get to live, the confidence we get to walk in, and we get to instill in every single person we come in contact with. Emboldened kids that are going to school this week fired up because they know who they are in Christ. They hear it every day in their classes. They hear it every night you pray with them in bed. Man, what a life we get to live, full of confidence, overcoming insecurities, and making that contagious every single place that we go. It's kind of fun to think, man, if you're confident, because of that, you get to encourage other people. The most confident people I've ever met are encouragers and promoters of others. We read a book as a staff probably 15 years ago. Some of these guys will remember it. I don't know that it's worth the read, but there's a cool principle in it. It's called whale done. Pastor Bill introduced us to it. And it's a fun concept, but it's this whole idea of how they train killer whales to do the tricks and the flips and all the stuff that they do. It's like the greatest killer. We just watched Shark Week. Every episode, all day, every day. Took the week off of work, Shark Week, okay? In Shark Week, what we realized, the killer whale, Shamu, kills everything else. Great white, nothing. Don't even come over here, killer whale, okay? But then that's what we put in these crazy tanks and train them to do tricks. And this book talks about this process, simple. They put a little rope on the bottom of the tank. If the whale swims over the rope accidentally, they feed it a bunch of fish. They raise the rope. Now it's like 5 feet up in the tank. It randomly swims over the rope. Ton of fish go in the tank. Well, now they put the rope up on the top of the water. That whale makes its way over the rope because it knows it's going to get fish. It goes over the rope. 5 feet above the water. This monster killer white killer is now jumping over the rope when the little lady whistles because it knows it's going to get fish. Pretty simple concept. People want to be encouraged, people want to be recognized, and people want to be championed. Man, what if we just decided that's what we're going to do? I want to be free in my life. I want to walk in the freedom that the Word talks about. So I'm going to be confident. But to do that, man, I've got to be somebody that's confident enough in who we are in Christ that we're looking for opportunity to champion other people. Man, looking for the little things. Man, I noticed you out in the crosswalk. Man, looking for stuff with our kids. Hey, you made your bed. I didn't have to tell you to. Man, we're encouragers. We're the kind of people that are looking for that and excited about that. And okay if the spotlight's not always on us. It's not always a selfie. Sometimes it's promoting somebody else because they just did something great, and it might have been small, but we're excited enough and confident enough to encourage them. Real cool example of this in the Bible. If you go to Acts 9:26, I'm going to read the story of Barnabas to you. We've kind of heard the story about Saul becoming Paul, but I recently read this and pretty intriguing. It says, when Saul arrived in Jerusalem, he attempted to introduce himself to the fellowship of believers. Saul was a bad dude. Saul was facilitating killing Christians. And now he's had this life transformation. He's trying to get in with the disciples, and they're not having it. He attempted to introduce himself, but everyone was afraid of him because they doubted he was a true disciple. Barnabas came to his defense and brought him before the apostles. Saul shared with them his supernatural experience of seeing the Lord, who spoke with him on the road to Damascus. Barnabas also told them how boldly Saul preached throughout the city in Jesus' mighty name. So Barnabas introduces him, and then he starts hyping him up a little bit. He's like, man, this dude can preach. I think he's legit. I think we might need to give him a chance. So Barnabas kind of puts himself out there. Everybody else is afraid of him. And look what happens at 28. Then they accepted him as a brother and remained with them, joining them wherever they went in Jerusalem, boldly preaching the power and authority of Jesus. How about Barnabas? Paul wrote 2/3 of the New Testament. Had a shaky past. A lot of people, a lot of big dogs, a lot of really good Christians didn't want anything to do with him. Barnabas, confident enough in himself, puts himself out there and encourages them, hypes up Saul, becoming Paul, and just says, man, I think we need to give him a shot. And Paul's ministry begins. So just a question tonight. Man, if we're going to be confident believers, man, who in your world might need a little bit of encouragement? Who's been maybe going through it a little bit, or who might have a little bit of a checkered past, and maybe not everybody's believing that it's real, but if somebody like you would believe in them, they might actually step up and be who they're supposed to be. Man, other people have doubted them. Other people have shamed them. Who might need a little bit of defending? Who might need a little bit of championing? And if we do that, man, what could unleash in their life to where they could actually do what God created them to do? Man, let's be encouragers. Maybe just this week you're thinking of somebody you know you're going to interact with, and you're going to find something in them, kind of that whale done. I'm going to find something to celebrate. I know you kind of accidentally swam over the rope, but I want to reward. I want to celebrate you for that. Good job, man. There might be more in there, and I got a feeling they're going to step up. So 1, let's be confident. 2, we got to be stewards. Stewardship's interesting. I like the idea of it. Matthew 25 breaks it down real well, the parable of the talents. But here's a definition, a working definition of stewardship. The careful and responsible management of something entrusted to one's care with the intent to increase and advance. We're going to take care of it. It's been given to us or gifted to us, and we're going to carefully manage it and hopefully increase it. Matthew 25 talks about the ruler, and he gave 5 talents, 2 talents, 1 talent. It says he gave it to them according to their abilities. That's cool. God's given you opportunity. God's given you room to work and grow, and so we've got to take it and increase it. And that's what happened. It says they stewarded it, or they went and traded with what was given to them. Then it increased, and he said, you were diligent over small things. I'm going to make you ruler over much. See, we all want to be, I want to get to the ruler over much place. But the reality is, that feels like freedom. But the reality is what comes before that is the stewardship. And then, here's the reality, then you have to steward the more. So it's this ongoing, we have to get good at stewarding, because even if we get everything we're looking for, we have to steward that as well. So it's this life of stewardship. And I think there's a cool point in Nehemiah 4, if you want to turn, I want to show you this. And I'm going to need just a little bit of help. If maybe Austin, maybe old Dubber, Shafe, just a little help real quick up on the stage. I'm going to read this, and these guys will be a cool example for you. In verse 13, a lot of cool stuff. Read Nehemiah if you haven't read it recently. Amazing situation of a young man that is working in the kingdom and feels called to defend his people. And so he's building a wall. That's the big premise. A lot of cool takeaways in here. But in the process of building something, stewarding something that he feels responsible for, a lot of opposition arises. A lot of people see that in the process of building something, there's an opportunity that the wall's actually vulnerable. So in the midst of that vulnerability, all the enemies that have wanted to attack realize it's a good time to attack. Nehemiah's pretty wise and starts to realize what's going on here. Starts to kind of see, it's like, oh, okay, people are trying to attack. What's the strategy going to be? How am I going to steward this right now in the midst of opposition? So I'm going to pick up in verse 13. It says, I stationed armed men behind the wall in the lowest places, at the open positions where it was least protected. And I stationed the people in families with their swords, spears, and bows. When I saw their fear, I stood and I said to the nobles and officials and the rest of the people, don't be afraid. Confidently remember the Lord who's great and awesome, and with courage from him. Fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, your wives, and for your homes. It's one of my favorite passages, really cool. In the midst of opposition, he comes up with a plan, but I think the most interesting thing is he says, I'm going to grab some men, and I need them to be warriors. They're going to be guys that can actually battle, and he put them at the most vulnerable parts of the wall, where they're least protected. He sticks a fella. He sticks a Schaefer, he sticks an Austin, and he sticks a J-Dubs. And then what's interesting, it says he positioned them by their families. This blows my mind. Because these guys are down to get after it. They've proven themselves. They're warriors. But just in case we needed a little bit more motivation, we're going to put their families behind them. And their family's going to be ready to fight. But if they fight, that means that it got past the guy that he put in front of them. And I just kind of throw this out there today because we're talking about the idea of stewardship. But a lot of times stewardship is manning our post. And it doesn't always feel this amazing excitement, but sometimes doing exactly what we've been asked to do, that's stewardship. And I know these guys well enough, if we're going to really run through this scenario, if you're going to get to Schaefer's family, you got to pack a lunch because he's not going anywhere. It's going to be really hard to get to your little girls, isn't it? I get funny thinking of it. Man, your daughters are back there, right? Nobody's coming through that hole, right? No, it's Mila. It's Stella. It's Bubba. Right behind you. Nehemiah's a genius, right? Nobody's getting through that. But I think sometimes for us to truly be stewards, we've got to recognize our why. Man, God's given us opportunity. That's a good one. Man, but a lot of times our family is connected to our why. Man, our calling, man, what God has called you to do. But are you stewarding it? Because it may not be on a stage right now. It may not get a whole bunch of likes right now, but it's manning our post. And if we can man the post, literally it's going to provide freedom for us and the people with us. In this case, they actually could have been killed, but because the wall was able to be built, it provided freedom. But what it looked like in the moment was plugging a hole. And if needed, fighting for your life, because there's such valuable cargo, there's such everything that makes your life is actually behind you. So I just tonight, let's think just for a sec, man, what might you be called to steward right now? Where are you at? Might be your job, might be your family. But God's called you to steward something. And I just wonder if even in the little things, we took it that seriously. Man, if they get past me, people that I love are going to be hurt. If I don't man my post, there's people on the other side of me not stewarding what God's given me to steward right now. Thanks, fellas. So I throw that out there, but I want us to think about it along the lines of just kind of the everyday stuff. Because we've got to be good. I want to steward my time. Why? Because if we steward our time, you can actually design the life that you want to live. So it's like, man, what last night did you think about tonight? Before you go to bed, could you think about what's going to happen tomorrow and steward that time correctly? Interesting little stat, if you woke up an hour early every day this year, at the end of the year, you would have 23 16-hour days built up. There's people on their deathbed wishing they had one more day with their family, and all we got to do is get up a little bit earlier, and we can create that many more moments and memories, but it requires us to steward our time. And we talk about stewarding money. Man, I'd like to have a little more freedom with my finances. What are we doing today to steward the money that you currently have? Maybe it's talking to somebody a little bit smarter than you. Maybe it's reading some of those articles. But what can we do right now so we can be great stewards to actually plug the gaps so that people can't get to your family, so you can't have the financial freedom? Fitness is an easy one. Man, are you stewarding your body? What if we just make a little progress? I'm gonna run one more time this week than I did last week. Let's steward it. But we get to live this life, and I just think if we would steward what God's already put on us. He goes to Moses and he's talking big. Man, you're going to lead my people out of Egypt. And Moses is freaking out, and man, I stutter, and all the excuses. And God just looked and said, man, what's in your hand? The staff. Let's use that. What's in your hand? What's God currently given you to steward? And I'm just telling you, if we'll focus on that, and then we apply the confidence to actually do it, we can walk in some freedom. Last thought. We were on a trip in China a couple weeks ago. And I was thinking kind of just about this idea, because there's confidence and there's stewardship. And in this moment, we were trying to get to the airport, had a pretty epic last day, did some really cool stuff in the underground church, really changed my heart and perspective in that church, which is another cool story. But then we were trying to get to the airport, and you want to be on time for those international flights. And we were running a little bit late, doing some stuff, and we had a pastor with us and a media guy. We're all trying to get there. And we're running a little bit late already to the airport, and I look at the driver, and I'm like, okay, Terminal 2. Okay, awesome Chinese guy. And he drops us off, and we go inside, and wouldn't you know, we were in Terminal 3, okay? Beijing airport, it's all big and bustling with people and all this kind of stuff. And so I'm a little frustrated. We figure out where we got to go. Got to go downstairs. We get on this transit system to get back to Terminal 2, and it takes us 30 minutes. We're already running a little bit late. So now I'm beside myself and getting all fired up, and I'm trying to move people and get through the airport and drag these guys with us and just trying to make it happen. Got to get there. Can't miss the flight. Got a family to get home to and all this stuff. And I'm all worked up, and I come flying up. I'm sweating. I've got bags. I'm dragging a pastor out. We get to the counter of American Airlines, and I say, hey, man, we got to get on that Dallas flight. Need you to move quick. And I'm barking at this guy. This guy behind the counter, it's like an angel, smiles at me. And he goes, Mr. Hart? And I'm like, whoa, yeah, yes. Why are you smiling? We don't have time for smiles. You know, this whole deal. And he said, man, we've been waiting for you. There's no problem at all. We'll get you through security, and we will get you on that flight. You have nothing to worry about. I'm a little shocked. And then he goes, and I just wanted to ask you one question. Would it be okay with you if we upgraded you from economy to business class for your 14-hour flight home? And I'm telling you, it kind of stopped me in my tracks. His smile got me. That kind of threw me off and knew my name. It just but it just, I mean, it hit me. I honestly took a step back. I looked at my pastor friend and we laughed for a second. I was like, that's crazy. I've been rushing, frustrated for an hour, mad at the transit driver because all of that. And then it just kind of, I honestly thought about God. That's how God looks at us. He's asking us to be, he wants to give us the confidence. He's asking you to steward. And then on top of all of that, he's just a good father. And so we're trying to make things happen. We're trying to hustle. And you came in here with whatever you came in here with and crazy life. But I just have a feeling that if we'll allow him, he'll kind of look at you and say, hey, it's going to be okay, one. And two, I'm going to make it better than you expected. That's the kind of dad we have. That's what I would do for my kids. That's what you would do for your kids. But sometimes it's abrupt like that. But I honestly think just if maybe tonight, maybe first thing in the morning, it's like got a lot of stuff going on. I want to do better. I want to be the best. I want to live this great life. But we just kind of think like that. It's going to be okay. And it's actually going to be better than you can imagine. I'm sitting on the plane, and the first question, I'm sitting there still overwhelmed that actually happened. And then this sweet little lady comes over and goes, how would you like your steak? And I was like, stop, you stop it. I was going to eat pretzels for the next 14 days. You did not just ask me that question. God, I think that's what he has for us. Man, he's so faithful, he's so good. And so it's an interesting combination because there's our part. We have a part to play in this, 100%. Man, be confident. Walk in confidence. Let's attack insecurities. Man, let's recognize what he has for us. And then as opportunity comes, let's steward it. Let's be the best we possibly can. Great stewards. And then know who your dad is. Because it's going to be okay, and it's going to be better than you thought.